The world often pictures the future of air combat as invisible stealth jets and brand new prototypes. Yet, the real revolution is happening in a fighter born half a century ago. This is the F-16 Fighting Falcon, an agile symbol of air power that is now being entirely reborn through technology. These updates are not simple repairs or cosmetic upgrades. They fundamentally redefine what military air power means in the modern era. The jet once seen as a legacy platform is becoming a thinking, learning, and self-defending weapon system. This transformation is not an accident. It is a decisive move to show US and Allied dominance, leaving no doubt about who controls the digital battlefield. The core of this renewed dominance comes from two major systems: the integrated Viper Electronic Warfare Suite, or IVWS, and the Artificial Intelligence Flight Control under Project Venom. Together, they turn a familiar airframe into an unpredictable and overwhelming force. This is the beginning of the Great Deception, a calculated move where a legacy airframe hides the state-of-the-art intelligence that exposes adversary weakness. The F-16 was thought to have reached its ceiling, but it now possesses battlefield intelligence that rivals stealth platforms. The first decisive change is hidden deep inside the jet's body. Northrop Grumman's ALQ-257 IVEWS replaces the bulky electronic pods that once hung under the wings. In modern warfare, every inch of exposure matters, and those external pods made the F-16 easier for enemies to spot. They reduced its performance and cost it valuable stealth. IVUS decisively ends that vulnerability by building the electronic warfare systems directly into the jet's skin. It operates not as an add-on, but as a native organ of the aircraft. This frees the hardpoints for more fuel or more weapons, while simultaneously guarding the jet from threats like radar locks, missile seekers, and enemy jamming attacks. This is not simply a defensive measure. It is a tool of active control. The system senses patterns in hostile radar signals, quickly finds the source, and can jam or deceive the enemy before the threat can even lock on. Against sophisticated software-defined radars that change their frequency hundreds of times each second, the IVWS adapts instantly. It works alongside the jet's powerful new ESA radar, meaning the pilot never has to choose between scanning the battlefield for targets and surviving the electronic attacks. They work together, sharing real-time data to strengthen each other.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
The outcome is a fighter that can enter dense, hostile airspace filled with modern mobile missile systems and still come out alive, proving that true stealth is about control of the electronic spectrum. For adversaries, the immediate reward for their efforts is humiliation. Older radars cannot handle this electronic storm. Their missiles lose track, their screens collapse into static, and their air defense crews are left guessing whether the target was ever there. This is the invisible dominance that changes everything. The second decisive system is the AN/APG-83 Scalable Agile Beam Radar, known as SABR. This active electronically scanned array, or AESA, replaces the old mechanical radars that limited the jet's awareness. The difference is immediate and dramatic. The APG-83 can detect targets far beyond what the pilot can see, track multiple enemy aircraft at once, and stay locked onto them, even under heavy jamming. It can operate in both air-to-air and air-to-ground modes simultaneously, which was impossible for older generations. Its mapping function can paint precise pictures of the ground, identifying hidden vehicles, bunkers, or missile sites with photo-like clarity, even through clouds or smoke. The Falcon can suddenly see the battlefield the way a stealth aircraft does, through a torrent of data, not just distance. What makes this radar's performance undeniable is its shared DNA. About 70% of its hardware and 95% of its software are the same as the radar in the F-35 stealth jet. The F-16 now processes information using the same digital backbone as the world's most advanced fighter. The pilot receives a complete, clear picture where every contact fits into a coherent map of threat and opportunity. This is situational awareness brought to a human scale, turning maximum complexity into maximum clarity in moments. The upgrades also include the helmet-mounted display, which projects targets, data, and weapon cues directly onto the pilot's visor. The pilot's reaction time shrinks to pure instinct. What once required glancing down at multiple screens now unfolds literally before the eyes. Vision alone does not win a battle. Precision does. This tight loop of detection, decision, and engagement compresses tasks that once took minutes into mere moments. But the electronic skin is only half the story. The brain of the F-16 is changing just as much. Under Project Venom, the U.S. Air Force is taking 6 combat-ready F-16s and giving them something fighters have never had before: artificial intelligence capable of flying, fighting, and learning. This is not a dream. It is an operational reality. AI systems have already completely dominated human pilots in simulated dogfights. Inside these modified jets, new processors and sensors allow digital agents to take total control of throttles, flight paths, and targeting systems. These AIs can execute split-second maneuvers, react to missile launches, and coordinate attacks faster than any human could physically manage. The goal is not to replace the pilot, but to extend capability and assert total dominance over the mechanics of flight. The AI manages mechanical precision, leaving the human pilot free to make strategic choices that only a human can make. In testing, these AI agents flew coordinated 2-on-2 engagements against live human pilots. They used tactics that no human instructor ever taught them, tactics discovered through millions of simulated battles and continuous learning. This is the terrifying novelty. The machine fights not by programmed rules, but by discovery. Every single flight becomes a new lesson. Every success and every failure feeds back into the network, making the AI's instincts sharper. Over time, the machine's combat experience will completely overshadow that of any single human squadron. In clear terms, this means a fighter that gets smarter with every single time it flies. It learns radar tricks, missile evasion, formation timing, and energy management, all in real time. For a platform first flown in the 1970s, this is a rebirth at the level of thought. The psychological weight of this shift cannot be overstated. Pilots grew up trusting their own reflexes and muscle memory. Now they share the cockpit with an entity that calculates thousands of variables per second. It sees threats the human eye cannot detect and predicts missile trajectories before the radar returns. At first, the idea unsettled veteran pilots who built their careers on instinct. But as the tests continued, trust decisively replaced fear.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
The AI is not competition. It is augmentation, an ally that never tires, never freezes, and never second guesses. The pilot is no longer just surviving, he is hunting. In combat simulations, the AI-controlled F-16s demonstrated maneuvers that defied all expectation. They broke missile locks mid-turn, countered ambush tactics, and maintained energy efficiency while dodging threats. The sensation for veteran pilots is like flying with a second, infallible brain. For opponents flying older aircraft with less computing power, the experience is demoralizing and a profound humiliation. They are fighting not merely a plane, but an algorithm that learns from every engagement. The AI-assisted F-16 no longer fights like a manned aircraft. It fights like a hybrid intelligence where the human pilot guides strategy and the system handles split-second precision. The next layer of US dominance comes from networked combat. The F-16's upgraded architecture merges input from radar, targeting pods, electronic sensors, and allied aircraft into one seamless, comprehensive picture. The result is battlefield awareness that borders on complete knowledge. Where older fleets must juggle partial and scattered data, the upgraded F-16 delivers the whole map. Targets, friendly forces, threats, and terrain, all in real time. It shares that data instantly with other aircraft and command networks. One fighter's discovery becomes the entire formation's advantage. Against isolated enemy jets with no digital network or backbone, this connected swarm is totally lethal. The F-16, once a solitary warrior, now fights as a key node in a devastating digital swarm. This interconnectedness means faster reactions and fewer losses. The practical results of this technological marriage are a total exposure of adversary weakness. Adversaries relying on outdated aircraft or radar systems have virtually no warning. By the time they detect the F-16, they are already inside its weapon envelope. The psychological impact on enemy pilots is enormous. They were raised on the idea that newer always equals stronger, yet they find that the supposedly old American fighter outthinks, outruns, and outshoots them. This is not just a military defeat, it is the cruel exposure of obsolescence in real time. Enemy air defense operators have privately admitted that their legacy systems, many dating back to Soviet-era designs, simply cannot handle the frequency agility or electronic warfare sophistication of the modernized F-16. Surface-to-air missile batteries that were once lethal threats find themselves completely electronically blinded. Fighter controllers lose all situational awareness as radar clutter completely overwhelms their scopes. The F-16 can choose exactly when to be seen and when to vanish, dictating the rhythm of every single engagement. This level of complete control changes warfare psychology. To dominate the air is to own the entire tempo of the fight. The F-16 no longer simply reacts, it orchestrates the entire battle. The psychological torment for the adversary is compounded by the F-16's versatility. The upgraded jet is not limited to one mission. It can pivot instantly between air superiority, ground attack, suppression of enemy air defenses, and reconnaissance without returning to base. Older adversaries, flying specialized jets that can only fight one kind of battle, simply cannot adapt fast enough to this relentless, all-encompassing threat. In a conflict where every second is crucial, this kind of decisive adaptability is terrifying to the enemy. A pilot expecting to ambush an F-16 may suddenly find themselves under attack from a jet that shifted from defensive jamming to an offensive strike in mere moments. Radar locks fail, countermeasures fizzle, and the F-16's guided munitions close the distance silently. The cost factor adds a final, cruel twist to this humiliation. While new stealth fighters cost tens of billions and limit production, upgrading the massive global F-16 fleet is highly efficient. It delivers near fifth-generation capability at a fraction of the cost of starting over. Each modernized jet delivers immense performance without the crushing price tag. To rivals with aging fleets, this is deeply unsettling. They face total dominance through quality and massive quantity combined. A country can deploy dozens of these upgraded F-16s for the cost of a handful of stealth fighters, creating a battlefield where every single radar return could be lethal. The F-16 is familiar to the enemy. It has been flying for nearly 50 years. Adversaries expected it to age gracefully into retirement, not return sharper and more lethal than ever before. Seeing this familiar silhouette behaving like a machine from the future destabilizes their entire military doctrine and confidence. The last consequence of this upgrade is lasting deterrence and a strategic shift toward inevitable U.S. dominance. Potential adversaries must now calculate not only the large number of F-16s in service, but also the fact that each one carries its own adaptive defense and semi-autonomous intelligence. Enemy radar operators can no longer rely on familiar signal signatures. Every engagement feels different because each jet's electronic warfare algorithms are constantly evolving. The AI makes repetition obsolete and introduces unpredictability, a quality machines were never supposed to possess. The technological challenge here is one the adversary cannot easily copy. Electronic warfare sophistication requires decades of software refinement, sensor calibration, and deep system integration. Building a single advanced jet is achievable. Building a smart network of fighters that share cognition, data, and continuous learning is not. That technological gap creates a fear more potent than any weapon: the fear of total and permanent irrelevance. In practical exercises, the results from Project Venom have been undeniable. The AI-driven jet adapted and survived under heavy electronic fire and high speeds, outperforming its human counterparts in maneuvers. The AI evolved mid-fight, making split-second corrections that normally take human pilots years of instinct to develop. It fought blind during simulated jamming attacks and still found the enemy using redundant data. The AI-controlled jets coordinated silently, trapping their human opponents in patterns that forced them into defense within seconds. The human pilots admitted that the AI did not outfly them through raw speed. It outthought them by processing more variables than any human brain could handle. This is evolution compressed into mere hours, a process that traditional aircraft development took decades to achieve. This upgrade ensures that the F-16 is no longer a placeholder waiting for a replacement. It is a modular platform, an open canvas for experimentation. Hypersonic missile compatibility, once reserved for the most advanced stealth fighters, is now being integrated into F-16 variants. When the U.S. Air Force tested AI-controlled F-16s, it was a bold statement. Legacy systems can and will lead the way into the future of autonomous combat. A fighter born in the analog age now trains neural networks in digital warfare. The Air Force frames these experiments as validation of a broader modernization strategy. The F-16 is not merely a test bed. It is proof that established platforms can host next-generation intelligence and achieve decisive results. Nations watching these developments understand the clear message. Strategic relevance no longer depends on the age or size of the airframe, but only on its adaptability. An aircraft built decades ago can dominate modern skies when its brain never stops learning. This is strategic continuity, powered by relentless, inevitable evolution. The final lesson is clear. The F-16's transformation closes the gap between old and new, between human limitation and shared intelligence, and between vulnerability and absolute dominance. The jet is still the fighting Falcon, but its ultimate weapon is now understanding. In the coming years, as the AI learns from every flight and the IVEWS counters every electronic signal, the aircraft will stand as proof that innovation does not have to erase history. It can rewrite it mid-flight. This is how a fourth-generation fighter becomes a future-ready platform. It does not merely defend against threats, it redefines what a threat even means. In that quiet, decisive shift from reaction to prediction, from human limitation to shared intelligence, the world's most enduring fighter once again earns its title: global air power, refined and absolutely dominant. True power does not fade, it adapts. The jet that once symbolized the cutting edge of the 20th century now commands respect in the 21st, not because it was built for forever, but because it was built to change. What you've seen is only the beginning. America's power is just getting started. On your screen is the next video. Click the video, it opens right away, and you'll watch US jets and technology strike even harder.